Welcome to Single Leg Parlay. It's the college week 5 review. We're going to go over all the bets we placed last week. We're going to go over all the winners and losers of our awards that we give out weekly. We got a lot to go over. It was a crazy ass week. But before we do anything, I got Danny to the right of me. I got Al further over there. I'm rest in peace to Kembe. Let's drink some beer. So we had an average week last week, not an amazing week, but it was okay. We lost money to the VIG, but we had fun. Did you guys have fun betting? I had fun. We tipped the dealer and we get out of the casino, you know?
I always have a good time.
You guys only didn't make money because I wasn't here to carry you.
We need you, buddy. We need you, buddy. We didn't do a TikTok best bet, but our pod best bet was 1, 0, and 2. Andy and I both took New Mexico State plus 10, and they lost by 10. So no harm, no foul there. All picks together, we were 20 and 19. That'll put you at 51.28%. Yeah, you didn't get your money back. Sorry about that. And it really was Andy's fault. Let's blame Andy on this. He was 6 and 10 last week. That puts him at 37.5%. For the season, he's 30 and 32, 48.39% winning. Not awesome, but we get him there. Positive progression is coming. Al went 8-7, 53.33%. You did get your money back.
Just barely. For the season. Made a couple pennies.
He made a couple shekels on that. Put him at 48.5%. And then I led the league 6 and 2, 75%. 28 and 19 for the season, putting me right below 60%. All that shit doesn't matter. Let's make money today. What do you say, boys?
I love it.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Excited to be a part of it.
Money, if you want to make money, listen to the college week 6 preview, because now we're recapping college week 5. And as we normally do, we have awards to give out. Let's start off with the most impressive award. Al, who do you want to give the most impressive team or player of the week award to?
Yeah, it's got to be Bama, in my opinion. I mean, they knocked off Georgia. It wasn't particularly close until, Georgia rallied to make the score respectable. I mean, I guess they had the chance at the end to tie. Maybe they go for 2 to try and win it. But, Carson Beck throws an interception and none of that matters. Bama showed up to play, and they showed that even though Nick Saban's watching from the sidelines, I guess not the sidelines, from the booth, right? He's a talking head now. Kalen DeBoer has been able to step right in, and Bama doesn't look like they've skipped a beat. So, Bama.
Agreed. So that game was wild because Alabama was up 30-7 at halftime. Yeah. Then Georgia took a lead 34
like 3 minutes, 2.5 minutes left.
2.5 minutes. And then 15 seconds later, Alabama gets a touchdown to Ryan Williams. The amount of times I've heard this statement this week, and I fucking hate it. It makes me cringe. That kid should have been at prom this year because he's 17 years old. Yeah, he's awesome. Ryan Williams is a totally different caliber dude, but we can describe it in a different thing than that prom statement. I hate it. It makes me very uncomfortable. But
why does it make you think about it? Like, did you have a bad prom?
No, I had a great prom, but it's just a weird way to describe things. It's like he just got his 9th ball hair. It's like, why are we going backwards?
This dude's probably jerking off all the time. Like,
Matt, the point is they're not going backwards because he's like 17 and he should be in prom. It's not backwards.
I get it. I just don't like the description. You don't need to think of it.
It's a cliche. It's an overdose.
This dude should be sneaking out of his parents' house to go drink underage. Is that better?
Exactly. It's just like a cringy statement. We get he's young. But yeah, he's really good. Him and Jeremiah Smith for Ohio State are dogs. They're playing at a different level than everyone else. Danny, who was the most impressive? What was the most impressive thing to you this week?
The most impressive thing to me was the Kentucky defense. They sacked Jackson Dart 4 times. They held him to under 40 points for the first time this season, which was only 17. They got him to 17. And it's the first time this season he was under 300 yards passing with only 1 touchdown. I mean, that's just kind of talks about how good he is, that I can't say that he threw a bunch of interceptions or anything like that, but yeah, if he gets sacked that many times, it really held him under. And like the fact that Ole Miss didn't score, that defense really held it down.
A little Kentucky fried defense. 11 spices, no herbs.
Yeah,
Yeah.
hell yeah, buddy. You know what was crazy? This is something that Mike Stoops, I forgot who Kentucky's coach is. He's a Stoop boy.
Mark, I think.
They live for these games. They do this shit every year where that team is going to go 6-6 or 7-5 guaranteed, but they're going to upset someone where you don't expect it. And you finally see Ole Miss play a real team for the first time, because prior to this, the best competition was Wake Forest.
No.
Yeah. This is a whole different level.
I don't think they were in a one-score
Really?
game outside of the first half of the first quarter until this one.
I mean, you don't think
Totally
Furman, Middle Tennessee, and Georgia Southern were good competition? Because
Hey, Middle
from my
Tennessee's
experience,
got a pretty good.
Middle Tennessee is really good.
That Middle Tennessee team you're referring to is far better than this Middle Tennessee team. This team sucks.
They had faster
Sucks.
receivers for sure.
They did. They did. I hate to say it. I hate to give him his flowers, but what impressed me the most this week was Colorado. Colorado went into Orlando, 14-point dogs, and kicked the ever-living shit out of UCF. No questions, no reserves. They went out there and kicked the hell out of him. Travis Hunter is that guy. He needs to win the Heisman. He is the best player in college football. I got nothing else to say. I could not believe the performance by Colorado.
Second best player.
Oh yeah, who's best?
Cam Ward.
Cam Ward.
When was the last time a quarterback didn't win the Heisman?
Devonta Smith.
Yeah, there you
Didn't
go.
Devonta Smith for Alabama win the Heisman?
Yeah, 2020.
So 4 years ago.
It's rare. Hunter does
Yeah.
enough that he deserves it though. Just Miami hasn't had a guy that
Yeah, 5 years or so.
in the cover.
And I know we're going to talk more about that game coming up, but Cam Ward did spectacular Heisman winning things in that game. That shovel pass or that basketball chest pass he had was fucking awesome. I am not a Miami fan, but I was just sitting there cheering and screaming because I could not believe that last drive. That was
It was a comeback win. It was a comeback win. Yeah.
Restrepo catching a ball from his
on
ass.
Yeah, on his ass.
Crazy.
He slipped and fell and then still caught the ball. I love Restrepo.
It was an incredible drive, and it was a really fun game. But Al, what team? Let's give out our Kaiser Sozes for anyone who's uninitiated. We talk about the team that was, or team or player that was most suspect this week. Al, who's your Kaiser Soze?
Yeah, so we talked a lot about Miami. Spoiler alert, the answer is Miami. And about how, are they real? Can they run the table? Or is this just another Miami move where they start out hot and then drop 3 games in, October, November? Look, I've been reluctant to buy in on this team. And this is kind of one of those litmus test games against Virginia Tech. Everyone's kind of down on Virginia Tech. They had high expectations going into the year, kind of cooled off with their start. But I kind of figured this would be a tough one for Miami to cover for sure. But I was hoping for a little bit safer W here. They very much should have lost this game. I mean, it took a lot of really special plays, like you just alluded to, for them to get in front. And then the way I just knew when Virginia Tech had the ball back with a chance to score that we were in for trouble. And then, we basically lost that game. And then on review, they just decided we should have Miami win this. I guess, if you want, we can talk about it. But I guess they said after the fact, like the following day, that they ruled it incomplete because a Miami defender had his hand on the ball while he was also simultaneously out of bounds, which then the pass was deemed out of bounds. I don't know. But it sure looked to me like I couldn't tell what the fuck was going on in that play.
It was a loose ball that touched a player who was out of bounds, which is actually what happened. I could see it clearly. You could see it clearly. The ACC refs could see it clearly.
And I would say the thing I would argue with is the fact that the ball was loose. It did not look loose to me until after people were sitting on the ground. But
No,
yeah,
it started coming out when he was coming down. He had his foot. If you freeze frame it, he had a foot in bounds with his hands on the ball. But the Miami player came in and knocked it out. It was pretty obvious, man.
I don't think anyone would say it was pretty obvious, except you.
I was telling
Or
Missy, there's
other
no way
Miami
they don't
fans.
overturn this. And I think the only reason they called it the touchdown was to stop Miami from celebrating with the lights going off.
Yeah.
I don't think it was obvious, but I do think it was the right call. I'm glad it was a debate between the letter and the spirit of the law, and that probably shouldn't have been overturned because there was no evidence that it would be overturned. But it was never a touchdown to begin with, in my opinion. I was like, where the hell is proof that there was a
Yeah, I
catch?
guess they had to call it a touchdown in order to review it. That was the other part of it too, which is kind of stupid.
They don't actually have to call it a touchdown to review it, but I think the reason they called it the touchdown was because Miami started celebrating and they're like, shut the fuck up.
Yeah,
touchdown.
I kind of agree.
We're going to review this shit
They're
anyway.
like, yeah.
Also, and I know Danny's going to get into this, maybe the ACC had something to protect here either way. I think they need Miami to be pretty good because the ACC.
Yeah, Miami was
Florida
undefeated
State
last
ain't
year.
helping your cause.
Just Miami was undefeated last year going into that Georgia Tech game, and we did not fumble when we didn't take the knee. So they don't want to protect Miami, to be honest with you.
I think they
didn't last year when Florida State was good. Now Florida State's bad.
That's a good point. When Florida State was going to run the table, they're protecting an undefeated Florida football team in the ACC. I get it. That makes sense.
They need one Florida team. They're like, okay, we got to get this call right.
Oh, really? I mean, to justify your conspiracy theory, really, they need two good teams to play in the championship game. Is really their goal. You know.
Yep.
So if they're going to make moves, it's Clemson and Miami at this point.
Lay the points with Clemson this week, then.
I'm going to get to that in the next podcast. I got quite an argument or a monologue to go on. But I love it when they went to the ACC like think tank room that was like the ACC referee like view, and they're just like two guys eating Bojangles and drinking a beer. Like it looked like the laziest room I've ever seen. I didn't know anyone was in there. It's like they weren't expecting to.
They're actually in the back of a van in an Advanced Auto Parts parking lot.
Yeah, they're all.
Or O'Reilly.
Great visual. That's a great
visual. The visual
I used
of
to smoke weed behind an Advanced Auto Parts in Coral Springs.
The actual visual of that room, like no one's here. There's two guys just like kind of sitting at a table, feet up, having a good old time. They're like, "Oh shit, we have to work." Very funny.
Like you see their feet come off the table really quick, and they're like shuffling papers. Like
they're like the cameras go to us in 5 seconds. They're like, "Oh shit!" They like dust off the crumbs from their lips and throw the beer bottles.
Licking the Cheeto residue off their fingers.
Good game though, hell of a game. It was a hell of a way to start your Friday night.
Oh yeah, that was fun.
Or start your weekend.
Got the blood pumping, that's for sure.
Danny, who was your Kaiser Soze?
I'm going with Louisville. Losing to Notre Dame when you're supposed to be contending for the ACC, like I guess, like you outgained them. Your offense was great, but like you just turned the ball over too many times. Also, even though you had almost 400 yards of offense, 2 of your 3 touchdown drives were less than 25 yards or something. They had one that they started like within the 10, and another they were like on a turnover with 25 yards. You got to be able to score on a long drive. A couple of them in a game if you're going to beat Notre Dame. Like it. I mean, if you're going to give up 31 points, you got to be able to score, and they just couldn't really finish off drives. They had a lot of turnovers near the red zone or near the end zone, and then a lot of turnover on downs that like they were just going for on 4th down and couldn't get it. They were 1 for 5 on 4th downs. So that they're my Kaiser Soze. Like you got to be able to complete some of those plays if you're going to be competing for the ACC.
Agreed.
Yeah. Is Notre Dame good?
Their defense is really fucking good. They're like really good. Their offense is not great.
I mean, is Notre Dame good though? Like, I mean, they lost to Northern Illinois. I mean, they only scored 14 points, but sure, they can dominate Purdue. But like, who can't dominate a Big Ten team?
Yeah, I mean it's
Purdue's
beating Texas A&M by 10 and it's beating Louisville by 7. Where it's like, does that make you good, or does that make you like capable of beating teams that are mid? You know, like
They may be the king of the mids. They may be the
yeah,
most
the most
mid.
mid.
team
Most
in the
mid.
world.
The Notre Dame midshipmen.
Hey, don't besmirch Navy. They're 4-0.
Yeah.
They're kicking
Yeah.
ass. Don't.
No,
don't
they
say
should be
Navy
the Notre
can
Dame
score, too.
fighting shipmen.
The rare Army or Navy team that can score. So
They can score. My Kaiser Soze is Michigan. Guys, look, they have a problem, and it's football. Like, their offense is bad. I know they won 27-24. They were up big that whole game. Controversial onside kick penalty that took the ball away from Minnesota when it seemed like they got the onside kick. Really weird game there. There may have been some Big Ten referee cash investments coming in. But Alex Orji went 10 of 18 for 86 yards passing. That ain't it. He also is supposed to be fast. He's supposed to be a good runner. He had 9 rushes for 12 yards. That shit ain't it. He is not good. Their defense is not as good either. I'm going to look up their defensive coordinator, but I think Harbaugh took all of the good coordinators. Oh, I'm sorry. It's Wink Martindale. Wink Martindale is now the defensive coordinator in Michigan, the old Baltimore Ravens defensive coordinator.
Yeah.
It is not translating because they're not playing as good a defense anymore. And they have a lot of NFL stars on that side. Not good.
I gotta
That team
imagine
ain't
if you were a legit defensive coordinator at Baltimore, then you should probably have a better job than defensive coordinator at Michigan as your next one.
I agree, but I don't think that's a bad job.
Did he get there from Harbaugh? Like, what happened? The Harbaugh brothers just like exchange coordinators?
I think so. So Jesse Mintner went to the Chargers with Harbaugh. So I guess he was just like, Jim asked John, he's like, you got anyone? He's like, we got Wink. You want to hang out with Wink? He's like, yeah, Wink sounds all right.
We got someone better in the wings anyway.
I'm guessing it had something more to do with Wink doesn't think he's going to get a head coaching job in the NFL, and this is a stepping stone to a head coaching job at a big college school.
To be fair, can you trust a man who goes by Wink?
Yes.
I don't think so. You would trust a Wink? Okay, so say you needed, open heart surgery, and Dr. Wink comes in. He's like, I'm Dr. Leibowitz, but you can call me Wink. I'm like, no. Wink, you can get your
I trust him.
You're trusting Wink. Yeah.
So, wait.
For the video only. For the video only, people. I'm
Wink
winking
what?
when I say I trust him.
What's his last name?
Martindale.
Oh, well, okay. Well, then that's the same one as the other Wink Martindale, right? The Hollywood one, the TV game show host. So
No.
Wink Martindale, the game show host guy, his name is Winston Conrad, and that's where Wink comes from.
Okay, let's see. This is Don Martindale, but he goes by Wink.
Yeah, that's just, I don't like it.
Is a Martindale a Wink or something? I know Martingale is like a betting strategy, but
I think Don probably took Wink based off of Wink Martindale, the TV game show host, and just stuck with it, which is a pretty cheap way to acquire a nickname, in my opinion.
That's like my name is Matt, but you can call me Vanna Strite from this point forward.
Yes,
it makes
correct.
no sense.
Yeah.
Wink.
Well, it actually is funny because Strite rhymes with white, so it kind of does actually fit perfectly.
It does. All right, that's Kaiser Soze. Michigan stinks. That's a bad team. And stinky line of the week. We'll do that next segment. But Michigan's got a stinky line this week. But we like to own up to our mistakes here on Single Leg Parlay. And we were wrong in some circumstances betting this week. Al, how are you wrong this week?
Yeah, let me be the first to apologize. I should be better than this. I laid 17.5. Even the hook didn't assuage me on Ole Miss, who lost outright to Kentucky. So I'm not going to do that one again.
I need to apologize as well. I took 7 points with Maryland thinking Indiana's not good at football. It's all fake.
Oh, I had that bet
That's
with
wrong.
you, bud.
Indiana's good
I
at football.
I wasn't here for giving out picks, but I did not think Indiana was as good. I mean, is Indiana good? I think they're good. I think it's pretty clear that Indiana's good.
I think it's very important that we have a conversation about Indiana. Not necessarily today, but sometime soon we need to have a conversation about Indiana because they don't seem very bad. They seem pretty good. I
So what
don't
they
know.
do against Illinois or whoever they play next, some other shitty Big Ten.
No, they
team.
had a legit chance. Okay, let's talk Indiana football. Their
Let's do it.
schedule is lining up pretty nicely for them. So next game is against Northwestern. That team sucks.
Yeah.
Like they may not cover the spread.
I may have accidentally faded Indiana again.
I know everyone does it. I see Indiana on there. I'm like, oh, what? They're favored by 18 or whatever. Loss. Then they played Nebraska. Tough
I mean,
game.
Nebraska isn't having a great season so far, but that's going to be a tough game. Their quarterback is good.
It's gonna be a fun one. I think is a good way to put it.
I'm saying that could be a really good game. That seems like a game I actually want to watch. Indiana, Nebraska. Then they play Washington. Washington sucks. That is
I mean, they're having a down year. They don't suck, but they're having a down year for sure.
That's what a down year is. Like they don't historically suck, but yeah, they're.
Let me put it this way: Florida State sucks this year. They're not historically bad.
Yeah,
They
but
suck.
like I would definitely take Washington against Florida State right now.
I would lay them with Florida State. That team stinks.
I would probably hammer the under.
That's the right.
Washington's won 3 times. How many times has FSU won?
Once.
Yeah.
I want to play that Northwestern team they beat 28-5 or whatever. That team is awful. Regardless, then they play Michigan State. Indiana can beat Michigan State.
Yeah.
We're 3 wins against Weber State, Eastern Michigan, and Northwestern.
We're staring down a 9-0 start.
Hosting Michigan at the Big House in Indiana, it's a pretty good setup. And then they get Ohio State. They're going to lose Ohio State. And then they have
a cupcake to finish. Yeah.
You could realistically say they're going to go 9-3 or 10-2. Like,
is this a playoff team?
That's a good question.
10-2 could get you in the playoffs. 10-2 would get you in the playoffs. So
this is a very weak Big Ten schedule, but should they be penalized if they're 10-2 playing in the Big Ten because their schedule?
Is it a weak Big Ten schedule if you play Michigan, Ohio State, Maryland?
Yeah, it has to do with who you lose to, right? It's like you lose to Michigan and Ohio State, and you win against all the bad teams. Is it a good, whatever? But I think if they could hang, I'm sure they could hang with Michigan the way they're playing now. Michigan's not good, so they could hang in that one, make it look respectable.
A lot can happen before. I mean, that's like right before.
And they could lose 2 or 3 games before then. But we're just
that's more than a month away. Yeah, like that's what I'm saying. I'm glad we're having a conversation about Indiana. I think Cignetti is got to be the coach of the year in the Big Ten. He comes from Coastal Carolina. No, Old Dominion,
something smaller. Yeah,
James Madison.
Maybe James Madison. I saw a clip and he was like, "That's what I do, is win. Google me. He said, "Google me."
So that Indiana Maryland game felt like it was going to be just trading touchdowns forever, and then in the second half, Indiana's defense just stepped up, and Maryland couldn't score anymore. So it was a fun game to watch. It was a fun game to watch.
So I did just Google Kurt Cignetti. It was at James Madison last year, and James Madison was good. So I'm glad I Googled.
And now they're not.
No, they're not.
He's 124-35 as a head coach. It's pretty good.
He has the most Big Ten face I've ever seen, too. If you guys, will you Google Kurt Cignetti? Because that dude looks.
Who's the dude that coached? Was it Indiana basketball? He's got that dude's vibe.
Tom Cream?
Is it? No, it might be before him.
I will say that if I shave my beard, I also have a big.
No, it is Tom Crean. That's exactly what I'm thinking of. You're right. Yeah, he's got big Tom Crean vibes.
Big Tom Crean.
That was a solid pull,
Big
man.
Tom Crean. What has he ever done?
All he does is win. Google him.
Yeah, you got to Google Big Tom Crean. Danny, how are you wrong this week? I know you didn't give picks, but you said you were wrong in some capacity.
Well, I mean, you heard me be wrong about it again earlier on this podcast about saying how Miami's clearly not paying the refs because of a call from last year against Georgia Tech. But I don't know, that holding call when they had the 75-yard touchdown run or run down to the 1-yard line. I don't know if it was a touchdown that they just called holding on and brought it back. It was a pancake block. It was a pretty sus call. And then that's one of the reasons I was so confident at the end of the game, telling Missy, "There's no way they don't overturn this. We have the refs in our pocket." I was just yelling that to her over and over again.
It was one of the cleanest blocks I've ever seen. It was an incredibly good block. And then it came back.
So I was wrong about saying that Miami doesn't ever have the refs on our side because Friday we totally did.
Yep. Yeah, Miami did enough. I know a lot of people are down. Those are the games you got to win. And those are the games Miami, and Cristobal admitted this, they lose usually. Mm-hmm. And you guys showed a way to win because you have a quarterback. You're going to be
Also, we didn't have to take a win, and he still almost blew the game. So,
yeah. Well, I mean, you can take the fight out the dog, but it's still there.
Yeah, you can take the girl out of the honky tonk, but you can't take the honky tonk out of the girl.
Yeah, he's still there. He's still Mario.
He's still honky tonking.
All right, so let's give out our special awards. Al, you want to start off with the special award?
Yeah, I don't have a good name for this one, but I'm giving an award to Kirby Smart for making that game look respectable to all the poll voters that went to bed at halftime. They got to wake up and see, oh, Georgia made this a ball game. They actually do belong in the top 5, instead of going, oh, this team got dog walked by Bama, and they should be more in middle of the pack. So, good job, Kirby.
The award from that game is Kalen DeBoer. We've talked about it on this podcast. If someone isn't listening and they like college football, they're wrong for not listening to us. Kalen DeBoer is fucking awesome at designing plays. He is as good as it gets. And that first half was a blitz. They punished Georgia for being too aggressive over and over again. So, yes, you're right. The box score checkers, they're like, oh, it was a good game. But Alabama was kicking ass most of that game.
Can I say something about Kalen DeBoer? And it's totally off topic, but I think he might be a chameleon. Every picture I've seen of Kalen DeBoer looks nothing like all the other pictures I've seen of Kalen DeBoer. Maybe it's the lighting or the angles, but it's sometimes he looks skinny, sometimes he looks a little chunky, sometimes he's really wrinkly, sometimes he's not, sometimes he's tan, sometimes he's not, sometimes he's got a chiseled jaw, and sometimes he doesn't. I don't know. It's maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm having a stroke.
Really. He looks really old for 49 too. I thought he was in his late 50s, but he's got football coach energy for sure.
Yeah,
that's the trick to looking. That's the trick to not looking like you're old when you're 65 is looking like you're old when you're 45. Thinks you're old the whole time.
He's Maggie Smith.
He's shit. The name just popped out of my head. He's the offensive. Who's the coach at Oklahoma? Brent Venables. He's the offensive Brent Venables, the defensive coach is always a hard ass prick that no one is ornery and no one likes, but the offensive guy is always the fun, hey, I'll go have a beer with the boys kind of guy.
Yeah.
It's I feel like they look kind of the same, but they're two sides of a coin.
Mike McDaniel used to be the hey, I'll have a beer with the boys guy, and now he's hey, I've been selling you cocaine for too long and you haven't paid me guy.
No, he's the hey man, can I just borrow another $50? I swear I'll pay you back. And you're dude, this is the 12th time. And then you do it because he's your buddy, and he comes back again, and it's yeah.
I do want to read Andy's special award. It is offense only a Ferentz could love. And it's referencing Houston. That Houston Cougars team scored 0 points against Iowa State. Look, Iowa State's pretty good on defense, but you can't score 0.
But they're not Iowa on defense.
No.
It is actually very, very difficult to win a game scoring 0 points.
It happens very infrequently. It happens never. It happens.
I would like to point out that Liverpool beat Chelsea in the FA Cup final, scoring 0 points.
Okay. It's hard
Well,
to beat
in American football.
American football games.
That was like 2 years ago, but I was still pisses me off that we didn't win that one in the shootout.
Houston has scored 7 points, 12 points. They did score 33 against Rice, but the last 2 games against Cincinnati.
33 isn't enough against Rice either.
No. Last game against Cincinnati, it was 34-0. They lost. In this game against Iowa State, it was 20-0.
Yeah, excluding that Rice game, they're averaging less than 5 points a game.
They are very bad on offense. They're a very bad football team, but I'm betting them this week. So wait till you hear that. Come check out the next podcast. Danny, what is your special award?
My special award is the Thank You for Your Service Award, which I'm going to give out to Army this week. Correct me if I'm wrong, but Temple is close to the Jersey Shore. It's Philadelphia, but right? It's close to the Jersey Shore. Those are the same kind of people that go there. And I love it when those people get their fucking asses kicked. So, Army showed up and had touchdown. We talked about this a little earlier. You got to be able to have a long drive to score. Army had touchdown drives of 86, 89, 75, 52, 75, and 45 yards. So, like, Army just came out and freaking dominated them. And they were long drives. They were all, like, 4.5 to 6 minute drives.
Yeah, because, it's like 7-yard max per play.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
They're all
12,
15 play drives.
Yeah, well, actually, a lot of those touchdown drives were 7 and 6 plays. They would do the run the clock thing and then just break the last one big. But it was an impressive performance by Army. So thank you for your service, Army. And
hell yeah,
fuck those Jersey Shore kids up.
I do think it's important. I'm going to pull this up before I start talking out of my ass, but I believe that in the AAC, the conference that Army and Navy play in, the top 2 teams are Army and Navy. Both are undefeated in conference with 3 wins, 3-0. So the AAC, the American Athletic Conference, representing very well with those 2. My award.
So the AAC is a little different this year because the bigger conferences stole all the teams, but it is still nice that the military school. That's the American Conference dominated by the military is awesome.
I don't think you can play if Army and Navy play. We kind of have a rule: you always take the under. I don't know if you can do it this year. Both teams can score.
Navy's a hard team for under right now. Yeah, Army's scoring too, but I have a feeling in that game it'll still hit because it always hits. It's hit like every year for 100 years.
It's tradition. It's tradition. It's like
I'm
having
gonna
a
bet
turkey
the under 25.5 or whatever it is, and just
it's going to be middle 40s. I bet it's not going to be that hilariously low number anymore.
If it's middle 40s, I'm definitely hitting it. But
my special award winner this week is the Lane Duck Award. And it goes to Lane Kiffin and Ole Miss. If I have seen anything, Ole Miss and Lane Kiffin gets high on his horse, and then he eats a bucket of shit like that FSU kid said he was going to promise if Boston College beat him. But he actually does eat the shit every time. It is like clockwork that Ole Miss will go 9-3, most likely, even though he talks a lot of shit, and it happens all the time. Lane, you've done it again, buddy. You lost a game that no one expected you to lose. And when you face the good teams in the SEC, you're going to probably lose those games, even though you'll probably win on Twitter. It always wins on Twitter, though.
I love Lane Kiffin. So, like, if he has to lose to Kentucky to make him still be relevant sometime, I mean, Lane Kiffin is not going to be a national championship head coach, right? He's probably not going to be a national not at Ole Miss anyway. He has a top 3 quarterback right now. And you can't go down to Kentucky when you have this level of offense right now. You just can't. You can't only put up 17 points. That was just
you can't lose a game when you're a 17-point favorite at home either. Like, those are the games. You lose a game against Tennessee or Texas or Georgia or Alabama, you're like, all right, that's fine. But he always does it. Every year he loses a fucking dumb game, and his Twitter fingers are tough, but when the game comes to actually being played on the field, there's always a little bit something. There's always something off in some of these games. Danny, I have a serious question. I have an issue I want to bring up with you. right? So Friday night, watched the Miami Virginia Tech game. Loved every second of it. Super fun. Michael Irvin was losing his shit on the sideline. You saw that, right?
Yeah, I saw him there.
Great.
Is this because of where he was the next day?
Saturday afternoon, that dude got into his car like most of us have from the South Florida area and took a nice drive up to Orlando. A little 3.5 hour number. Probably stopped in Fort Pierce, hit that Wawa and Chick-fil-A, got over to the Turnpike, and then he was on the sideline for UCF doing the same thing.
Well, for Colorado.
I'm sorry, at UCF for Colorado, pardon me,
Yeah.
on Deion Sanders' sideline. How did you take any of that? I hated it. I'm like, you can't do both. One, you can't do both. Two,
Look.
Deion Sanders played at Florida State. I understand you guys both played at the Cowboys together, but like, are you really going to be that guy on their sideline hyping them up too? Like, shouldn't that be only reserved for the University of Miami?
I mean, him and Dion are boys. It didn't really. I guess I'm not the kind of Miami fan that gets offended by stuff like that. I kind of root for Florida State, and unless
I get
they're
it.
unless they're playing Miami. So I'm not the Miami fan to ask, I guess. But no, it didn't really bug me that much. The way I saw it is, all right, he's gonna have a weekend. He's gonna see his boys, and he's gonna have a good time, and maybe take the family to Disney World after the game on Saturday. Have a little Sunday
I'm all
afternoon.
for
at Disney
taking the family to Disney. I get that. It's more of it was weird watching him do the same thing in two locations. It was like multiplicity. Michael Irvin.
What's weird to me is to see Jason Taylor coaching our defensive ends all the time. It's weird to see him on the Miami side. He's from Akron, right? Or that's where he played.
Yeah.
He's not from South Florida. He lives here now, obviously, but he's just so fucking handsome on the sideline. And watching him coach these kids, it was like, damn, Jason, you're so. I mean, seeing him on the sideline is striking every time. That gets me more than like Michael Irvin hyping up a team on the sideline. Like he could go do that for fucking Oregon State, and it wouldn't really bother me. Whatever Michael Irvin wants to do is cool.
It was just weird that I caught the camera both times of him doing it, and he was like over the top excited, and Fox pretended like it was a special thing. It's like, oh, look at Michael Irvin supporting this Colorado team. I'm like, I just saw the motherfucker doing that yesterday in Miami. I'm like,
yeah,
I don't know.
I saw it both times. I watched both games. I saw it both times. And
he's a hype slut, and I don't like it. You can't be a hype slut on the sidelines for everybody. Next week he's going to be at Georgia Tech doing the same thing, and he's too fast and loose with his hype, his sideline hype. I don't like it.
He's a little too, yeah, boy.
Yeah. He's a
little too Flavor Flav. He's a little too Flavor Flav for you, yeah.
Yeah, too much hype on the sidelines. Like, I get it. You can be a fan, go to the games, different. You can be Deion's boy. You don't need to be doing that in both places. I didn't like it. It rubbed me the wrong way. And then Rick
just
Ross
because it was the same weekend, or because it was like he's a Miami guy and you think he should only do that for Miami?
Kind of both, right? Like, I understand supporting your boys, right? And I understand Warren Sapp is on the Colorado coaching staff, so supporting Warren Sapp, I understand completely, right? That's your boy.
Mm-hmm.
Even supporting Deion, because they played together in Dallas, most likely. I'm sure they overlapped there. Get it all. Just weird to be like, I feel like that should be safe for your alma mater, right? Or if you're coaching, Jason Taylor coaching at University of Miami makes perfect sense. Just weird to see Michael Irvin at Miami hyping up from the sideline and like slapping people on the helmet and then going the next day to Colorado to do the same thing. It just felt odd to me.
Yeah, I guess Al might be a better person to ask for this, but I am.
Yeah, I think it's
I'm not
weird.
the Miami fan that gets mad at stuff like that.
Like, I don't care that it's happening at one place, but like doing it in different places is kind of weird.
Yeah, right. It was weird. That's all. And
like, why
honestly,
even there?
I was just happy to see his face both times.
Yeah, that's fair.
No, I was happy too. That part wasn't it. I like Michael Irvin. That's not about that. It just was weird to see it happen in such a close time proximity. It was like an 18-hour window.
I do wish he was on the UCF sideline doing it, because they could have.
I mean, at least they're like not in the same conference. Like, they're not going to play each other in all likelihood. So like, for like a competition kind of aspect of it, where it's like, is he how much access is he getting to be able to be allowed on the sideline and the sharing of information kind of thing? Not that that's going to happen, but like, why even open the door to that kind of thing?
So if
He didn't
Deion
have a
Sanders,
headset on either sideline. He was
no,
just being a
he
hype
was a
man.
sideline pass. Yeah, he was just being a sideline pass guy.
So the
So
Rock,
Florida-
the Rock does it with Deion too. He goes up there and
It's
supports.
it's not just a sideline pass. Like, he's like giving the team hype speeches and shit. Like, that's not a sideline pass. That's like a locker room pass.
I mean, he
You know?
probably calls Shador nephew. Like he's close with Deion. So it did not bother me at all.
I mean, is he
So-
actually, or are you just assuming that?
No,
Like, I don't know. Like, this is the
I
first
know
time I've
that
ever
they're-
seen he and Deion like close. I don't know. Maybe they are.
Did you
like,
not
besties.
watch like the Cowboys in the '90s?
Oh yeah, they were teammates. Hmm.
hypothetical, when Mike
They
Norvell
both
gets
do the
fired,
same preacher thing too. They both do the same like preacher
yeah.
talk thing. They're like they're very similar people.
Yeah.
when Mike
I get
Norvell
why
gets
they're
fired
friends.
in 2025, and Deion Sanders could become the head coach, right? Just in this hypothetical, he will get fired in 2025. But if Deion becomes the head coach and we're playing UCF, will Michael Irvin do the same thing on the Florida State UCF game away?
It
Why would he
definitely
be at
has a
UCF?
different. It
Say
has a
Florida
different
State plays
connotation.
UCF.
Yeah,
At
when
UCF.
Florida State plays
But
UCF.
why would he
So,
be at UCF?
because
Why
Florida
was he at
State's there.
UCF this weekend? And he was
Because
supporting Deion.
I'll follow along. We've done a hypothetical where Deion Sanders becomes the head coach of Florida State, and then Florida State is
Yes.
playing UCF away in Orlando, and we will be mad in the same situation. And I don't think he would do it in that situation because I think there's a little bit of sanctity with that specific rivalry.
I hope he wouldn't. Honestly, like, don't get it wrong. I think it would be fucking cool, but I hope he would. That would be too much. The Deion Sanders thing and the Michael Irvin thing was just odd to me. It's just weird to see him multiplicity style and hyping up. He's a hype slut. That's it. He just he sluts around his hypiness too much.
I like that.
He should wear a big clock while he does it, though.
He does. No, he's like the equivalent of the How I Met Your Mother woo girls. He just woos way too much. He's always wooing around.
You know, as a male woo girl, I guess that's why I'm pro.
Yeah, you're very pro woo boy.
I identify as a woo girl.
Woo boy. Woo boy sounds a little too like Japanese kink. but woo girl. So we'll leave it at woo girl.
He's a male woo girl for sure. Is that it, boys? You good?
Yeah.
I think we recapped
All good.
the last week very
end.
nicely. We tied it up. So make sure you go to singlelegparlay.com. Hit that subscribe button. Even if you don't hit that subscribe button, get our picks there. But if you like having money go deposited directly into your email inbox, got to subscribe. We will send you our picks every week. Like I said, we are 59% on the season in college football. It's pretty – oh, no. I'm 59%, but we're doing very well in college football.
I'm like 65%.
Yeah,
and I
kill
have
these
picks
two.
this week. So.
Sorry.
Matt and Danny, follow those picks. Alan, Andy, wait until we have a profitable weekend.
The heaters are coming, but make sure you follow. Our NFL picks have been ridiculous, so get them all there. If you like money, if you hate money, then don't subscribe. Right? If you just like, I don't care about money. But for Danny, for Al, I'm Matt. Thank you guys. We love you.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Thanks for listening to the newly rebranded Single Leg Parlay podcast. Visit our website at www.singlelegparlay.com, where you can read more of our thoughts as well as subscribing to our newsletter to have our picks delivered straight to your inbox each week. And don't forget to follow Single Leg Parlay on all of your favorite social media platforms. Cheers!